So, Pete, thank you for coming to
Thank you for inviting
picnic
me.
here on the Fringe. We normally have biscuits out, but unfortunately we've had to surrender it to the wind.
Yeah.
So, but we can soldier on with water.
Well, I can't eat. I've got these brace things in that I was just explaining to you. These Invisalign things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's
that'll give me a discount.
Maybe it's a mixed blessing then. So it's good.
I've just had my lunch as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice lunch. What did you have?
Well, I'm here with my wife and family. It's actually I've got my twin boys over there. It's their birthday today, so we had they're only one. They don't know it's a birthday, but we had a nice Scottish pie, mash and baked beans in their honour.
Nice, nice. What is an excuse to celebrate?
Well, yeah, definitely.
So
yeah,
you've got
it's
to-
a wonderful day. Yeah.
You've got to embrace it.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So, tell me a little bit about your show because it sounds great. Everybody out.
Everybody out, yeah. The basic premise is that there are too many people in the UK. It's going to rack and ruin. Everything's knackered. Nothing works anymore. The government don't even know how many people are in the country. So my solution, rather than moan about it, is to get everybody out and then count them back in one by one, but then only let the nice people back in. And
Excellent.
then build a utopian society around nice people. I mean, it's colour, race, creed, religion are irrelevant. You've just got to be nice. That's the only criteria for getting back in, and then we could maybe build a place that people, want to live in.
So, what's the judgment criteria? Is there a
Yes.
test?
Well, basically, we're going to get Marks and Spencer to do the interview process. So, if you're capable of getting a job in Marks, because they're always nice, aren't they? Then you'll be allowed back in. Yeah.
And are you going to be overseeing this?
Well, that's part of the show. Whether I am or not is something that becomes apparent or not within the show. Yes,
It's part of a feature, but it is very much a kind of a piece that you've thought about. So this is an idea, and the show is you running with this and seeing where it's going to go.
Well, to be fair, I mean, 20 minutes has been my set for the last 18 months or so. So that's all locked in. It was just expanding it into the hour basically, but this is probably my third incarnation. My first, I always do concepts. I always do a theme and carry through rather than disparate jokes. So my first, when I first started out, I did a very laconic persona where I was a lazy man, and all of my jokes revolved around being a lazy man who couldn't be bothered to be up there doing one joke and sort of stuff like that. The second one was a lot darker. That was about there being too many people on the planet and us needing to kill some people because which is fundamentally true. That's the biggest problem on the planet for the humankind. So it's a question of who do we kill really, and then reducing the numbers of people and making a sort of better world for that, which is tough doing that in the club sometimes. I run with that for quite a few years. And then I evolved it sort of into this, which is much more palatable and a lot lighter, and it's got more. It's easier to laugh at, really, I suppose. Yeah.
Is it exciting to see the development? Is that something that you enjoy? That you're not the same person inevitably as to when you started, and seeing that evolve and seeing where it's going to take you.
I think yes. It's one of those things that you just don't really consider because you're on the journey. But if I were to consider, which you've asked me to do, how I am as a stand-up now to how I was then, and how I can go on. I mean, at the moment I'm still evolving a big section of the show. I mean, every day I'm changing this section to try and find out. I guess it's a 10-minute piece. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to do that before now. To remember a whole hour's worth of stuff, a lot of which is still being bedded in, and add another 10 minutes that I'm changing every day and remember the order and taking stuff out and putting little gags in it. Yeah, I'd say I'm quite pleased with how I'm sort of coping with that, really. Yeah.
And the place you're at now, you're saying it's a bit more palatable. It's a bit more
the material.
Yes. Yeah. And you as a performer are more accessible, maybe.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, apart from when I started, that was very accessible, the lazy man, but the problem with that is I got bored of it quite quickly because my status was always lower than the audiences. So particularly when you're starting out, you've got small audiences, and so you're lower than them, so it's quite hard to get it going sometimes, and I got bored with being contained within that. So then I sort of broke out of that and went and talked about something I really wanted to talk about, something that was really important, and tried to make that funny. And when I first started doing that set, the overpopulation one in probably about 2005, A good gig would be 20% of the audience getting it and 80% not. And as the world got worse and the news got bleaker, more people came on board and sort of understood what I was talking about. So it sort of grew from there. But then, I got bored of doing that set, So I sort of evolved this one. This one actually came out of watching Question Time when Nick Griffin was on it. I was sitting there watching at a friend's house, and he was having a wrangle with whoever the I think she's a feminist writer. Whoever the woman was on there, she's certainly an author.
Yeah.
They were having a sort of spat really, and then it came up that there were too many people in the country, or they didn't know how many people were in the country. I think that was the phrase, and I in my mind I just went, well, just get everyone out and come back in again. And as soon as I said it, I knew I had my next set.
You had a show.
Yeah.
Did it come from a place of genuine? Not maybe concern is the wrong word, but is immigration or an overpopulation something that you think about as a problem?
I use the word immigration because it's one of those buzzwords. For me, there are nice people and not nice people, and nice people come from all walks of life. I'm only interested in nice people. I don't care. I think racism and all that is just dumb. It's the dumbest thing you could possibly, to judge someone by their colour. It's just ridiculous. They're nice or they're not. Some of the horriblest people I've ever met in my life are white Anglo-Saxon people. So I don't buy into that. Too many people is a problem. Is a fundamental problem everywhere. You can trace every problem. I would say almost every problem back to there being too many people. I mean, nothing works in the country. The transport system, the health system, the prison system, every system you can think of can be traced back to there being too many people. Mm-hmm. Everything in the world, every problem in the world can be traced back to there being too many people relating to humans. Mm-hmm. I mean, even global. I heard this amazing fact about the climate change. That the current effects that we are experiencing of it, the raising of the temperature, is a direct result of the Industrial Revolution 150 years ago. What's happening now is because of what would happen then. So what we've done subsequently hasn't even happened yet. That is a mind-boggling sort of thought. Yeah.
So this surreal idea of getting everybody out and everyone back in again.
Yeah.
That's obviously to make people think about that issue, and it's a good way of addressing it. But in terms of, is there something that you want the audience to come away with?
Yeah, I want them to be nicer.
Right.
That's fundamentally. That's basically what I want them to do. It's within our grasp to make. I'm just saying, here's A, B, and C that we could do to make this a nicer place, and hopefully I'll instill in them. If everyone adjusted slightly. I mean, mine's extreme. It's comedy. I'm going on an extreme. But if you just adjust it slightly, then we can make the place a little bit better. Yeah.
So there's a real, honest, sort of nice message at the end of it.
Yeah, but also within that, it's not just about that. I talk about the politics that we've got, the government, the fact that we don't live in a democracy anymore. We live in a plutocracy, which is when a nation is run by the rich for the rich. And sort of tell them off that we're not doing anything about it when we've had great opportunities to do it, and the fact is nothing's going to change until we go down and chuck them out. I mean, it's and so I'm sort of trying to prick people's conscience about their role in the demise of everything, really, because they're allowing it to. I mean, one of the facts that I do mention in the show is that, and I find it just despicable. We are not allowed in our democratic country, and I'm talking about the UK, to go and protest at the seat of our democracy. We cannot turn up at the Houses of Parliament and protest. They made it illegal. I mean, what is that? The day that they put that law in, everybody should have dropped what they were doing and gone down there and gone, excuse me, we're not having that. This is a fundamental principle of democracy. Yet they've got away with that. They keep getting away with it. Nothing happens. Nothing changes. As more and more things get done, nothing changes because we don't do anything. And I also want it to inspire that in people as well. Yeah. I mean, for my dream, I don't want to be a stand-up comedian necessarily. My dream is to instigate a revolution that needs to happen.
So it's about opening people's eyes as much as anything.
Well, yeah, I mean, sort of, because I don't, I mean, people are aware of stuff, but yeah, in a way, I'd just like to give them a little kick up the arse, and go, look, we can be nicer, this place can be nicer, and nothing's going to change with the demise of our society and the erosion of our civil liberties everywhere you turn. until we act and we respond. The voting system doesn't work. A really interesting thing that I've learned in my show, I've had 500 odd people in there in 8 days. I ask a question at some point, because I'm sort of doing a democratic thing throughout the show with certain bits. I ask if anybody believes that we live in a democracy. 500 people, not one put their hand up. Not one. I mean, I find that sort of sad. You know, so this is a real thing that's that's sort of important to me. You know, yeah.
Just tell me where your show is. When
It's funny
it is.
as well, by the way. You know, I mean, don't get me fucking wrong. It is funny. Am I allowed to swear on this? Do you beat that out? Yeah. It's really funny. Oh, it's hilarious. No, it is. I've picked up really, really positive. The show is at the Assembly Rooms, which is on George Street, big, grand, proper one where they put proper comedians, and it's on at 10:15 every night until the 25th, except for the 12th. And come along and you find out whether you'd be allowed back in or not.
You've been fabulous.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Cheers,
Pleasure.
everybody. Have a
Cheers.
great festival.